Memos betting. That's Friday, February 7th. We're talking about the Saturday NHL card with Mr. NHL himself from north of the border, our Canadian NHL betting expert, Andrew McInnis. McInnis, welcome in the pod. How are you?
Doing great, Drew. It's Friday. It's the weekend. Can't wait for the hockey games tomorrow. We got some UFC action going tomorrow night as well. I'm keeping myself busy doing some play-by-play tonight. So keeping myself busy, but things are going great. And I'm really happy to be doing this one with you today, looking over the Saturday cards. We've had people every day on my show with Prez saying, when are you going to talk about the games on the weekend? Well, here it is. Here we are. So I'm pumped to have it.
Yeah, the people spoke and we listened, McInnis. We're doing a Saturday NHL podcast, look ahead style, because some of the numbers are out, McInnis, but some of them aren't, I've noticed. And there is a game that we're going to be talking here that isn't Toronto-Montreal, so maybe we could do a little guessing lines on that one. But we'll go through and try to find more winners than losers, set the people up for good results here. Talking about 7 o'clock Eastern puck drop. First game up. Game number 6, 7, 6, 8. If you're following along at home, that's the rotation numbers. We got LA at New Jersey, McInnis, seeing a total of 5.5 or 6, mostly 6 here. Minus 135. That's New Jersey, the Devils laying at home.
Yeah, for this one here, Drew, we're going over the total. New Jersey right now has actually impressed me. They've been able to kind of string a few quality games together. More so than not, though, we're seeing some goals out of their top guys. And this is a team that I was very, very high on at the start of the season, and they haven't really lived up to those expectations. Both these teams, on a large scale, they're an under team. I really, really think on a larger scale, but more importantly right now, in February, this LA Kings team has hit the over in 5 of their last 7 games. They're just one of those teams where they're so easily scored on. They're cashing overs more so that they're getting scored on, not that they're scoring themselves. But we saw them allow 5 goals against the Islanders, 4 goals against Washington, 4 goals against Tampa Bay, 4 goals against Philadelphia, 4 goals against Florida. You get the point. I mean, this is a team that's getting scored on quite easily. And we got a team right now in New Jersey coming off a huge game yesterday. They beat Philadelphia on the road 5-0. They scored 4 goals against Montreal. To me, this sets up for a goal fest, and people take these teams very lightly based off their first half of the season, Drew, I guess you might be able to say. I mean, I'm not really worried about that. I'm looking towards my projections for the second half of the season, and I'm telling you these teams will see some goals here.
All right, good start there. McInnis, top of the card with the NHL for Saturday's card. We're going to try to do this each and every week. Got a good response last time we did this, so try to keep it going, guys. Feel free to reach out on Twitter at McInnis Picks or at Drew Martin Bets. Let us know what you want to hear. Any questions? Happy to answer them on the podcast. Looks like Monday nights for Tuesday card, and now Friday's podcast for Saturday's card is the schedule going forward. We got a special coupon code here for this podcast. McInnis is red hot on the ice and in the NBA. He's got 6 straight NHL 5%. That's the top rated play. Cashes plus 36% return on investment since the start of the NHL season. No cherry picking numbers there. He's up 36% year to date. Also up 27% last 30 days overall. And in the NBA, he's 13-2. Yes, you heard that right. 13-2 his last 15 plays, just under 90% plus 36% ROI. So heck, we'll do both the NHL and NBA here for about $140 off using the coupon code AM210. That's Andrew McInnis 210, but it's just AM210 is the coupon code for 30 days. All access at sportsmemo.com. You'll get every play he releases in every sport for just $210. AM210 at checkout is the coupon code. Let's go to the second game here, McInnis. We got Nashville at Edmonton. 6-9-70 the game numbers here. 6.5 being the total. Minus 120 the early. That's Nashville, the away favorite.
Yeah, right now, Nashville is trying to make a better name for themselves because they had a kind of a poor start to the year. Definition of inconsistent was this Nashville Predators team. But they're averaging 3.28 goals per game on the season. Edmonton, 3.2. I mean, there's no shortage of goals for these teams. But this Edmonton team at home plays way different versus on the road. They've been suffering some pretty poor losses against teams they should beat, and that's one of those games. Is definitely the San Jose game last night. So Thursday night, they lost that one 6-3. I mean, San Jose, they've pretty much run out of goal scorers. If that's a team lighting you up, you have issues. So I really feel like Edmonton will try and get it together. And they've had a great, run and great history against the Nashville Predators, taking care of business against them, especially at home. So I'm looking at the Edmonton Oilers here to get the job done on the money line. And these teams are trending over as well. We love the overs on Saturday here, Drew. Okay. Edmonton, over 4 of their last 6 versus the Western Conference and 6 of their last 9 games in general. I expect some goals here in this West Coast game for Edmonton versus Nashville. Lean to Edmonton on the money line, but I definitely like to see some goals here in this one. We'll see a 6.5 total, but it's well worth it with the speed we have with both lineups.
All right, we got an all-Canadian matchup up next. Toronto at Montreal, game number 73-74, the rotation numbers here. Not seeing any lines posted as of right now. McInnis, not sure if you have any, but guess we could do a little guessing lines and what your overall thoughts here are, Toronto versus Montreal.
I'll tell you one thing. This is the old-fashioned rivalry. This is the two teams you want to watch, especially here in Canada. Like, this is the game to watch. No matter what team you're a fan of, it's always a heated rivalry. Myself personally, I'm a Montreal Canadiens fan, so I'm always getting up for this game. And the funny thing is, no matter where each team has been in the standings, recent history tells us it's always a close game between these teams. No matter what, it's always a close game, close matchup between these teams. I'm expecting a 6.5 goal total. And maybe I'll see Toronto around a -130 favorite. That's kind of my guess here in that ballpark. I'm looking at the over here, and I'm also looking at the Toronto Maple Leafs. As much as it pains me to say it, Drew, I hate backing the Leafs against my team. We're trying to make some money here, and this Leafs team has gone through a little bit of adversity. I mean, they couldn't stop a beach ball right now, it seems like. I mean, their defense is horrible. Their goaltending has been rough. They just picked up a new goaltender from the LA Kings, which we're going to find out tonight here, Friday night, if that's going to help them out at all. Because their number one goaltender is injured. That's Freddie Anderson. So that's a problem for them. In Montreal, they've kind of been surging a little bit and getting it together. When it comes down to it, though, like I said, I hate to say it, Toronto's the better team. They have better goal scorers. It's just a matter of if they're going to play their game. I wanted to go over, though, Drew, the last 3 times these teams have met, we saw a 5-2 result, a 6-5 result, and just shortly a few days after that other game, another 6-5 result. These two teams just pepper shots at each other. If at your sports book or if at your sports betting website, you can bet over in shots, it might sound goofy. I would definitely bet that. Usually it's around 33.5, 32. Definitely take a look at that. We've seen 47, 46, 39 over the past couple games these two teams have met. It's just aggression, end-to-end action. I'll certainly have the save props and the shot props locked in with my betting account. In fact, I already have one of them locked in for the Montreal Canadiens. So whether or not they're scoring, they're going to be peppering shots on the Maple Leafs. And, I didn't used to be a big props guy, Drew. Lately, I've been really getting into it. Austin Matthews, I've been betting him his past 3 games over 3.5 shots, and he's cashed it every single time. You want to look at those all-stars, those top players that are scoring quite a bit, and he's certainly one of them. So Leafs playing on the second half of a back-to-back also encourages me to grab this over. For me, over 6.5, and Toronto on the money line to win the game.
AM210 is the coupon code. 30-day all-access sportsmemo.com with Andrew McInnis or any Sports Memo handicapper there. You can get more than one if you want to. Coupon code AM210 at checkout. Talking about Toronto versus Montreal here, McInnis. For some of the American watchers out there, is this kind of the Yankees versus the Red Sox? Auburn, Alabama, Michigan, Ohio State, that type of rivalry. Is this number one in the sport?
Definitely. I'd say more recently it's kind of been probably Boston and Toronto just because they've been more successful. Okay. But dating back to years and years ago, especially two teams, original six teams, two Canadian teams. That's 100% the big rivalry.
McInnis, we got one more game here, then we'll open it up for the card. And this is the nightcap, one that I have circled to kind of go down to T-Mobile, maybe find myself in this stadium. And if that happens, I got to bet it. So glad we're talking about this one. 85-86, the rotation number here. The nightcap, 10 p.m. Eastern puck drop. We got Carolina, the Hurricanes, versus the Vegas Golden Knights. Looks like Golden Knights minus 130 at home. Total of 6 in T-Mobile.
This one's an interesting game because the Vegas Golden Knights haven't played a game at home in 8 straight games.
It's been a while.
They're back. They're back at home, and a lot of times, just like what happened, I was actually on the Vegas Golden Knights last night. I've talked about this with you. I believe in studio I talked about this with you. I like to bet on the team on their last game of a road trip versus their first game back home. I feel like you want to finish and close off a road trip really, really strong. And first game back home, you're seeing the wife and kids, you're getting some shopping done, whatever it is. These people are humans just like the rest of us. It takes some time to settle in. As much as, that Vegas home crowd is so supportive and they've played so well at home, I'd be a little worried about this matchup if I was betting on the Vegas Golden Knights. I would just go ahead and look at the over. I told you earlier in the pod, betting quite a few overs, but I had these games all circled. It's a big, massive, 13-game card. I strictly feel that this team at home, I believe right now, 5 of their last 6 games at home have gone over the total. Their last game against Carolina was just a week ago, and it was a 4-3 result. We saw a very messy end to that one, lack of defensive intensity. And the star players are really starting to pick it up. So a guy like Mark Stone or Max Pacioretty, I'll be betting them anytime goal scorers. I had Pacioretty yesterday to score at any time around plus 160, plus 170. And, those goal scoring props, Drew, you only have to hit, 1 or 2 a night to end up with a really good positive result. So in this game, particularly first game back after a long road trip, as much as, the Golden Knights would like to play a good defensive game, I can't see it. I can see a very fired up Carolina team coming in, trying to get some vengeance after losing that game. I'll remind everybody at home as well, Carolina was up in that game against Vegas, and Vegas came back. So it'll be fresh in their memory. It's a little bit of a spot here, rapid revenge, I guess you might call it. They've played each other recently, and to me, that situation means over.
All right, so liking the over tomorrow night, Saturday night in the nightcap. That's 4 games, McInnis. Liking them all towards the over, huh? That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of games tomorrow, so it's not like I'm betting every game on the card over the total. But these 4 games just stuck out to me right away. The matchups, the situations, a few sides mixed into there. But look forward to talking with you on Monday about how the results went on Saturday. And hopefully we get lots and lots of goals.
Yeah, hopefully, man. I think I'm going to jump in on some of these. Hopefully everyone out there enjoyed the podcast. We'll open it up here. But, guys, remember the coupon code. If you're interested in Andrew McInnis's picks for the next 30 days, that get you quite a while there in the NHL, NBA. We got coupon code AM210, AM210 at checkout for his 30-day all access, $140 off using that coupon code. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in. McInnis, throw it back over to you, man. Did you want to throw out anything else across the whole Saturday NHL card or anything else really at the top of your mind?
Really, Drew, I've been talking about my Twitter and how I tweet out stuff in game, but anybody that has any interest in my goal scoring props or anything like that, check out my Twitter. Usually I tweet them out about an hour or 2 before the game, and you can find out who I'm on for some of those stat stuff because, my picks are usually locked in early afternoon, but some of this stuff, whether it's a goal scoring prop or a save or whatever it is, I usually have those locked in, 1 or 2 hours prior to the game. And I'm not going to just give out those picks if I don't love it. And lately, I've really been diving into more of the fantasy stuff, Drew. So if anybody has any interest in that, feel free to reach out.
Okay. What are you doing right on the NBA hardwood, man? You've seen it well, 13 of your last 15. What have you noticed that you're doing right and kind of cutting out what you were doing wrong before, if there was anything?
I'm just taking what the bookmakers are giving me. It's like right now, I feel like the NBA odds makers are taking way too long to adjust to certain teams that maybe had a really good start to the season, but are not really, keeping up with that same rhythm. Good example is the Phoenix Suns. I mean, a team that had a great start to the year, at least kind of shocked a few people with their performance against the spread. And now all of a sudden we're getting numbers with them that we shouldn't be getting. The Philadelphia 76ers, same with them. They've kind of fallen apart. They're getting way too big numbers as favorites. And, even when they're an underdog, they should always, it should be a bigger number against some more elite teams right now. I think some of these big teams get far, far too much respect. And I'm betting a lot of unders right now, Drew. I think that, like I said, start of the year, some of these games were blowing up, going way over the total. We were seeing some totals at like 241, 242. Mm-hmm. That's, I feel like Allen Iverson saying this, but like, this is a game. Like, this isn't practice. Like, this is something you're supposed to take seriously. You got to play some defense. And defense is finally starting to, come out a little bit. You can't be seeing 240 points in a basketball game. I mean, that's a joke, So some of these elite teams, when they're playing each other in the fourth quarter, they're going to cut down and play defense, man-to-man, lockdown. And that's kind of what separates it. If you're going to bet an over in the NBA, I'd honestly look first half. People think the free throws at the end of the game, sometimes with the fouling, could help you go over the total. I feel like clamping down on defense in the fourth quarter and late third quarter are going to really discourage and cut down your over bets. So I've been cashing with the unders.
In that same philosophy to the NHL, I mean, you're liking four overs on the Saturday card, but could you see a turn here coming down the stretch of the season where in the NHL that same kind of philosophy happens where they start clamping down on defense?
Definitely. And we had someone ask us that on the podcast for Monday night. And I'd say it's a lot closer to the playoffs. And that's going to be a lot more of situational betting based off teams that are already in the playoffs, teams that are hunting for that playoff spot, certain things like that. And one thing that we'll be looking at, Drew, which I don't usually bet too often, is the draw in the NHL. Because in the NHL, if you go to overtime, you get 1 point. Whether or not you win or lose the game, you get 1 point. So a lot of teams are satisfied if it's 3-3 with a few minutes to go in the third period.
Right.
They're just locking it down, try and get that 1 point.
And then try to win the game in overtime because you still get the same amount of points for that, right?
You get 2 if you win the game and 1 point no matter what.
Okay. All right. Well, good stuff, McInnis. Follow him on Twitter at McInnis Picks, myself on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. Let us know what you want to hear. Mondays and Fridays look to be the Look Ahead NHL podcast going forward. Let us know if you like it. Let us know if not and how we can improve. Always up for suggestions. So, guys, best of luck with your bets this weekend. And we'll be back on Monday. Remember, coupon code AM210 at checkout, 30-day all access. Best of luck, guys.